Yep, this is what my life has become now. It's time to give my review of a game whilst I'm still playing it, but what else can I do? Seriously, this game is interesting, but my usual content style doesn't work for it. It's so full of funny dialogue, good music, and moments that are great, that condensing 2 to 3 hours down into 25 minutes just doesn't do it justice. So here's the alternative, a retrospective, a review of my Zenless Zone Zero journey so far. At time of recording, I'm currently on chapter 3, and I'm currently at Internet level 35, so just letting that be known. But before I dissect everything to an extreme degree, I just want to talk about some sections of the game that didn't have enough to talk about to get their own parts of this video. The soundtrack is incredible. Every song bops, every track hits, and it's so good that even the characters can't help but sing along. Persona coded. I don't care what anyone else says or what other inspirations may be there, but everything feels Persona coded and I love it. I'll keep it real, I'm not the biggest fan of the summon animations. I like when the characters pop up, but the TVs are just a bit awkward, and still to this day I'm trying to figure out which TV is which in terms of summon order. Is there an order? Does it matter? I don't know, but I had to bring this up. Anyways, now it's time to annoy some people, state some opinions, and bring to you my review of Zenless Zone Zero. So far, the beginning of the story is a tricky one. As someone who has played his fair share of RPGs, specifically JRPGs such as Persona 5, Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 12 to an extent, Shadow Hearts Covenant, I know that sometimes you have to sit through unnecessary world building, lore dumps that won't make sense for another 10 to 20 hours, and sometimes not even until a future game. So I'm not gonna judge the story based on how slow it is in terms of a traditional RPG, because if I did, the pacing is a lot faster than most of those. I'm gonna base it on the gacha games I've played. Star Rail is interesting because I won't lie, I literally started playing it because turn-based RPG. So I don't really remember anything Herta Space Station related, but the shift in pacing when you hit Bellabog is insane in a good way. And in the case of Wuthering Waves, I think Zenless is either on par or slightly quicker at keeping my attention story-wise. I'm going through Zenless' story slower, but that's mainly down to how intertwined the main story and side quests are, but in comparison, I'd say it's equal pacing-wise to Wuthering Waves. Zenless' story has so many characters being introduced off-rip. Cunning Hairs, Nekomata, the MCs, the Vision, the HIA, so naturally the slowness comes from them having to build this world up with a ton of new characters, terms, and ideas. It's gonna feel like a lot, it will feel like they're yapping, but most story-driven games do this. Could Zenless have done it quicker and in a more engaging way? Absolutely. But to say that the story is downright bad when chapters 0 and 1 are all about establishing the world is unfair in my opinion. Does this mean you don't have to play a story you don't enjoy? No. Does that mean you should trek on for 10 hours to get to the good stuff? Also no, but that's why a skip button exists. If I had to give the story pacing based on what I've played so far on a scale of 5, I'd probably give it a 2.75 out of 5. It's starting to get better, but chapters 0 and 1 do weigh down the overall score. Essentially a prologue, world build, and intro into the world you're in. I'll try not to talk about pacing too much throughout this because I feel like that's all people talk about with the story is the pacing. So let's get into the meat and potatoes, the actual narrative and the beats. Chapter 0 introduces you to the wacky world of Zenless Zone Zero. We immediately get introduced to the best characters to represent this game, the Cunning Hairs, Billy Kid, Ambi, and Nicole Damara. They're the perfect mixture of goofy stereotypes with deeper characters as the story goes on. Or at least Nicole definitely does with her whole we could make a bunch of money but let's save these people arc in chapter 1. Zero is a little rough around the edges. It gets a little tropey at times, but it's fine by me honestly. Like, let's just keep things tropey, keep it all tongue-in-cheek, so that when we do get serious moments, they're gonna hit like getting 2 5 stars in a temple. There's not a lot to say about Chapter 0, and nor should there be really. Like, it brings in Fairy and brings in Nekomata, which leads us nicely into... I won't lie to you all, I skipped quite a bit in the middle of this chapter. I told people I would. If the game gets boring, I will skip things. It's just how it is. And I'm sticking to my guns. I'm not gonna feel like I owe this game my time, so as soon as I stopped enjoying the Nekomata being a cat girl stuff, I got out of there. The early part of Chapter 1 is unbearable for me, I can't lie. I thought that maybe Nekomata would grow on me as a character, similar to Encore in Wuthering Waves, or Aventurine in Star Rail, but no, I can't stand that type of character, and when she's the main focus for the duration of this chapter, my enjoyment is going to go out of the window. Ambi not buying Nekomata's shit is me. That's real, and I respect the hell out of Ambi, goated character. The cunning hairs make the chapter palatable whenever they're there, so I can't say it's all bad. And whilst the first part of Chapter 1 was rough, as soon as we got into the action, my faith in the writing and narrative went up. We get to the major dilemma of the Vision being a corrupt government that only cares about themselves, and they make the cunning hairs look like shining stars when they're literally bounty hunters. The finale is fantastic, and I wish I'd recorded my reaction to the ending of Chapter 1 because good lord was it good. We learned about the power struggle within the Vision, with director Sarah throwing the public face of the Vision under the bus. It creates a lot of stuff to look forward to later on, which is what I like. It's a good way of hiding the level gate, just tell people to get their clout up, you know, do side quests, get summons, unlock the bang boos, including a Vokaboo, the absolute legend. This did introduce us to Hollow Zero in Section 6, so it wasn't for nothing, but I hope this isn't the norm going forward. Things pick up. This is absolute bias, I don't care, I'm going to admit it. Chapter 2 brings us to Belobog Heavy Industries. This is what I've been waiting for, this is what it's all about, and my god does it not disappoint. Anton's cool, Ben's cool, Kaleda's cool, and Grace is incredible. These aren't just well-designed characters, they're great all-round characters that serve up a really funny, dysfunctional family type of dynamic. From things like Kaleda calling Grace single as hell, to Anton being a gym bro at heart, to Ben being an absolute Chad, to Kaleda being a really funny yet fitting leader for the group. It all feels like this chapter is something out of a sitcom, and I love it so much. It starts off so funny, so comedic, great comedic beats, an establishing of the dynamics, and then Cause Belobog is mentioned, and immediately everything changes. It's an insane tonal shift and not one I was prepared for, but it hit. And I told you that these moments would hit. I was invested in the characters, in their motives. It just felt like the perfect twist that wasn't too corny or tropey, but still hit in the way I think it was intended to. This chapter single-handedly restored my faith in the story for this game. Like, absolutely. Not a lot to discuss with this, honestly. It introduces us to Qing Yi and Zhu Yuan, two fun characters with a fun dynamic. And what better time to do this part of the story than with Zhu Yuan currently being the limited time banner character. There's nothing groundbreaking except for the clear corruption of the system at the end of the story, but it's a fun interlude that still keeps you playing without making you really lock in. So here's my current line in the sand. I'm currently level gated, which is literally just to get to level 36. So I think this is the best time to cast progression in this review and just talk about Chapter 3 so far. There is absolutely more for Chapter 3, but if I wait to do that, then there'll likely be an interlude and probably even a Chapter 4, and this review will come out in 2025. So let's just talk about where I'm at right now. Victoria Housekeeping Company are way better than I thought they would be. I said in my initial design tier list that they weren't my vibe, that I thought that some of them looked cool, but none of them would win me over because of their maid and butler aesthetic. But I really like their dynamic. They're a less dysfunctional family and more Von-like in trying to wrangle Ellen, Rena, and Corin into doing a good job, and it leads to a lot of fun moments. That being said, this part of the story has less stakes, so far, than Chapter 2. In Chapter 2, we were immediately presented with some high stakes, and whilst not every chapter needs these big stakes, the sudden shift can throw some people off, myself included. I'm still interested in the story so far, but the immediate level gate is going to cause the story to lose its punch, I feel. There's a lot of promise. If the stakes are raised and the level gate doesn't ruin its momentum, I think it'll be fine. So far, I'm going to give the story a 3.5 out of 5. I can't give it anything higher because of Chapter 1 just not being my cup of tea up until the end. Chapter 2 is a 5 out of 5 and Chapter 3 so far shows promise, and if this is how the story will continue to go, this will go up absolutely. This is a very touchy subject for a lot of people. Fighting game mechanics are there, and it's incredibly obvious based on how people can get through early game by just spamming basic and skill. For most fighting games, you can beat easy difficulty AI by cheesing with special moves, or by spamming one attack over and over. This is no different, but eventually you will have to learn how to play the game. Easy entry level will have an insane mastery cap, I reckon. I just hope there's a good balance of casual, easy stuff and hard content so that people can try everything at their own pace. I would like to have tougher stuff so I can learn mechanics and test things out without feeling as though there's no point. And no, adding more HP doesn't make something harder, it just elongates the fight. This isn't Final Fantasy X post-game, this isn't an early 2000s RPG super boss, alright? Combat aside, I do want to say that when I initially played the game, I don't think I was in the right headspace. I was tired, I wanted to play the game as soon as it came out, but where I was tired, I don't think I gave the game a fair shot. Coming back when I feel like it was the right move. I came back refreshed and immediately gave the game the attention it deserved, and man, I can see myself enjoying this game more and more. Learning how characters work, doing the side quests to figure out teams, and earning rewards, it might not seem connected, but in reality you're learning how to play as your favourite characters, you're discovering new characters you like, so that when the tougher content comes your way, you're not just spamming buttons, you know what you're doing. I'm really starting to get to the point where I have to lock in and start really learning how to read attack patterns, build up teams, build characters up more so I can stay alive and do more damage. I think early game I would give combat a 2 out of 5. Nothing bad, just nothing great, but as you go on it's starting to become better, and I feel like I'm actually playing the game and not just cookie clicker in disguise. It's currently a 3.5 out of 5 for me, and I guarantee that, as over time and as I learn more, that will probably go up. The characters that are in the story for the most part have been good. Ambi, Billy, Nicole, the MCs all have distinctive personalities that people will like. Even the NPCs feel like their own character to a lesser degree. I said it would be a very character-oriented game, and so far, I'm right. However, this could just be an early game thing, but it does take a while to get to limited 5 stars in terms of the story, so you're going to lose the people pulling because they like the character and not the kit. This game has made me like certain characters more than I thought I would. Ambi is quickly becoming one of my favourite characters in terms of design, playstyle, and just the actual character. It also helps that she's voiced by the same voice actor of Topaz in Star Rail, so you know, that's always a plus in my book. All of Belobog Heavy Industries are incredible. All I need to do is get Grace, and I have all of them. Of course she's missing, she's off looking for robots, and I'm here looking for her. Instead I get Rena! The pain is real. The game has been great at getting me to care about characters I didn't really care about, except for Neko Mata, but you know what, there's always going to be that one character. There's no world where I'll ever like her, she's just not it, brother man. But the devs clearly know that good characters sell, and making good characters will do them well in the future. A lot of people came into this game saying that no character looks like a 5-star, and honestly that's a really one-dimensional take because it's not just the design that gets people to pull. That is a massive part of it, but the characters will sell them more. I wasn't going to pull for Aventurine until his part of the story came in and suddenly he became a must pull for me. And anyways, if the 5 stars don't look like 5 stars, I think lowering expectations is the best thing to do, or even just go free to play if you don't think any character is worth spending money on. I think so far the characters are a solid 4 out of 5. I mean, there are some stinkers, there are some that I just don't care about, but there's a lot I really like, and a lot that I still want to pull for, if they could just give me grace, that would be fantastic, but I'm not, please! Bear in mind, this game is still in early days. I started writing this script 3 days after the game came out, and this is coming out just over 3 weeks after release. But as far as early days go, this is an incredibly promising game.